In London this morning, Prince Harry is testifying in the latest lawsuit against a British tabloid, the court case against the owners of the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday. This is his third attempt.
Today, Prince Harry testified for hours in a London courtroom as part of his years-long battle with British tabloids.
King Charles returned the $59 million bill, and this time, Harry has nowhere left to run. On one side, a courtroom is collapsing under forged evidence. On the other hand, Meghan quietly separates every asset from her husband's name. Harry stands alone, buried under $30 million in debt, no family, no allies, no escape. The same father Harry, publicly humiliated, received a $59 million invoice at his palace door. The answer came back cold and final: not a single penny. And when Harry needed support the most, Meghan's lawyers were already working, but only for her. This is not just a court case. This is the complete and total collapse of a man who gambled everything and lost. The full truth is ahead. Stay with us, and we will reveal it all. The $59 million bill that shocked a palace. On the morning of March 4th, 2026, a courier arrived at Buckingham Palace carrying a document that senior royal officials later described as the most audacious financial demand in modern royal history. No phone call came. Before it, no warning, just an envelope, and inside it, a $59 million invoice addressed directly to King Charles III. Harry Sussex had billed his father, like a contractor sending a payment request, like a business partner settling accounts. Except Harry was neither. He was a man whose privacy lawsuit against Associated Newspapers Limited, the publisher of the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday, was crumbling in real time at the Royal Courts of Justice. His star witness had already begun to crack. His legal team was working in crisis mode. And yet, rather than quietly preparing for defeat, Harry made a move that left even his closest allies speechless. He sent the king a bill. The breakdown read like a document written by someone who had completely lost touch with reality. First came $15 million for his legal team, years of retainer fees for attorney David Sherborne, and a small army of researchers who had spent thousands of hours building a case that was now collapsing under the weight of its own forged evidence. Then $12 million listed as a preemptive indemnity fund money Harry wanted the palace to set aside to cover the damages he fully expected to be ordered to pay A&L when the verdict came in. Harry was essentially asking his father to pay for his own legal defeat before it officially happened. Next on the invoice, $5 million for private security during his London court appearances. This was the charge that caused the most immediate eye-rolling inside the palace. The UK Home Office had already stripped Harry of his taxpayer-funded protection years earlier, a decision Harry had fought bitterly and publicly. Now he wanted his father to quietly foot the bill for the armed security detail and chartered private jets his California-based team had arranged in its place. Then came the number that made palace officials go completely silent: $10 million for what Harry's legal team called an honor restoration fee. This was not a legal term. It was not a recognized category of damages. It was a figure Harry had personally calculated as the market value of his own time, the worth, in dollars, of defending the Windsor family name while the royal family allegedly did nothing. Harry had put a price tag on his own sacrifice, and he had sent that price tag to his father. But the entry that defined the entire invoice, the one that confirmed, for many people inside and outside the palace, just how far Harry had drifted, was the final charge: $17 million in opportunity cost and income compensation. Harry's legal representatives argued that the stress and time demands of the London trial had directly prevented the Duke from securing new production deals in Hollywood. He was not just suing a newspaper, he was billing the British monarchy for his failed entertainment career. The total came to $59 million. It arrived at the Keeper of the Privy Purse's office at 9 a.m. By afternoon, the palace had responded, and the response came not through a private channel, not through a royal intermediary, but through a statement sharp enough to draw blood. The palace made clear that the private legal actions of a non-working royal, taken against the direct advice of the crown, were entirely that individual's responsibility. Any suggestion that the British public or the sovereign's private estate should absorb costs from a case built on questionable evidence was, in their words, not only legally baseless, but morally reprehensible. King Charles did not just decline the invoice. He returned it with a verdict attached. His son's case was a fraud, the methods were reckless, and the crown would not pay a single penny, not now, not through any future legal maneuver, and not under any circumstances. The $59 million bill had come back, stamped, rejected, and made very, very public. The man who burned Harry's case down, before Harry ever sent that invoice, before the $59 million bill reached the palace, before King Charles issued his cold and final rejection, something had already gone catastrophically wrong inside courtroom 73 at the Royal Courts of Justice. The case was dying from the inside, and the man killing it was someone Harry had handpicked himself. For months, Harry and his legal team had constructed their entire strategy around one central figure, Gavin Burrows, a private investigator who claimed to possess direct, first-hand knowledge of systematic illegal phone hacking carried out by journalists working on behalf of the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday. His testimony was supposed to be the moment the case turned the point where Associated newspapers could no longer deny what Harry had been claiming for years. With Burrows on the stand, Harry expected the momentum to shift decisively in his direction, pushing ANL toward a landmark settlement worth up to $50 million. Instead, Gavin Burrows walked into that courtroom and detonated the bomb under Harry. He did not stumble over his story. He did not contradict himself on minor details. He dismantled the entire thing with surgical precision, statement by statement, document by document. Under oath, Burrows told the court that the core evidence underpinning Harry's case, the detailed logs of intercepted phone calls, the alleged hit lists naming Harry's associates as targets, the records of what had supposedly been gathered through illegal means, was fabricated. Every page of it, not stretched, not selectively interpreted. Forged from the beginning, built to fit a conclusion that Harry's team had already decided they needed to reach. Then he explained how it had happened. Burrows told the court that in a period of serious personal financial difficulty, he had been approached by individuals connected to Harry's legal operation. A victory for Harry meant money for Burrows, so Burrows gave them what they asked for. "I was a man looking for a way out," he told the court. "I was told exactly what the truth needed to look like. It wasn't the truth, it was a script." The courtroom went completely still. Harry had been seen in the corridors just 48 hours earlier, composed, confident, giving the impression of a man who believed the verdict was already decided in his favor. Now witnesses near his legal team described him as visibly shaking. His face had gone pale, his hands were unsteady. The Duke of Sussex, who had spent years presenting himself as the one person brave enough to take on the British press, was watching his own case consume itself in real time. The consequences moved fast. Without Burrows, the case had no foundation left. The question was whether Harry's legal team had knowingly used fabricated evidence. If that could be proven, Harry would not just be facing a $30 million debt, he would be facing a criminal investigation. And then Rebecca English took the stand and made everything worse. English, the Daily Mail's senior royal editor, addressed one of Harry's most specific and emotionally charged claims directly. For years, Harry had maintained that a 2004 article detailing an intimate conversation between himself and then-girlfriend Chelsea Davy, a private moment around a campfire in Botswana, could only have been obtained through illegal phone interception. It was one of the most personal examples in his entire case. A moment of genuine privacy, he argued, stolen by a newspaper willing to break the law to get it. English's answer was quiet and completely devastating. There had been no hacking, no illegal interception, no journalist in the shadows with access to Harry's phone. Someone from Harry's own social circle, a person he trusted, a person who had been present or informed, had called the newspaper and voluntarily shared exactly what Harry had said around that campfire. The cousin who turned. Just when it seemed the legal disaster was as bad as it could get, the palace detonated a personal bomb that no one in Harry's circle had seen coming. On the afternoon of March 4th, 2026, the same day King Charles returned the $59 million invoice, a senior palace aide confirmed that the Crown's hardened stance was not just based on legal advice or financial principle. It was based on intelligence. Intelligence gathered from inside the royal family. from someone Harry had trusted completely. Princess Beatrice had gone to the king. For years, Beatrice occupied a particular role in Harry's world. She was not a working royal with palace obligations pulling her loyalty in one direction. When Harry needed a friendly face inside Windsor, Beatrice was it. When Meghan needed a social connection to the aristocracy that felt real rather than transactional, Beatrice was that too. She was the last bridge, and she had been quietly burning it for months. The dossier Beatrice handed to the king's private secretary was not a single document. It was a collection of encrypted messages, emails, and written exchanges that laid out in detail a secret coordination between Harry Sussex and his uncle Prince Andrew. Two men who had both been pushed to the edges of the monarchy, two angry men, and two men who had decided sometime in late 2025 that the best way to fight back was together. What the messages described was not just venting between relatives, it was a structured plan. Harry and Andrew had agreed to synchronize their legal actions and their media presence, releasing damaging stories, triggering lawsuits, and generating enough noise to overwhelm the palace communications team. The goal was not to win any single battle. The goal was to create so much sustained pressure that King Charles would eventually calculate that settling Harry's debts and restoring Andrew's royal status was cheaper than continuing to fight on two fronts simultaneously. Harry had reportedly gone further than just strategy. He had made Andrew a financial promise. When the ANL lawsuit delivered its expected $50 million payout, Harry planned to use a significant portion of that money to fund a shared legal defense operation bankrolling Andrew's comeback while securing his own position. It was not just coordination. It was a partnership built on a payout that never came. Beatrice had known about all of this for months. She had sat with the knowledge, said nothing, and hoped the way people hope when the alternative is too complicated to face, that the situation would somehow resolve on its own. Then February 19th, 2026 arrived. Prince Andrew was arrested. Newly unsealed documents connected to the Jeffrey Epstein case had surfaced, and Andrew was at the center of them. The ground shifted completely. Protecting Harry's secret alliance with Andrew was no longer a question of family loyalty. It was a question of survival. Beatrice had two children. She had a life she had carefully rebuilt after years of living in the shadow of her father's scandals. She had fought hard to be seen as separate from Andrew's catastrophic choices, and now Harry, through his pact with her father, had created a direct line connecting her future to his collapse. She made her choice within days. The dossier went to the king's private secretary. In return, Beatrice secured what she needed most: continued royal protection for herself and Eugenie, a clear separation from Andrew's legal disaster, and the king's quiet acknowledgement that she had acted with loyalty to the crown when it mattered. For Harry, the weight of what Beatrice had done took time to fully land. He had not just lost a legal case. He had not just been rejected by his father. He had been documented, monitored, and reported on by someone he had trusted as an ally for months without knowing it. Every plan he had shared, every promise he had made to Andrew, every move he had coordinated, Beatrice had recorded it and handed it directly to the enemy. The bridge he thought was still standing had been gone for a long time. He had just been walking on air. Meghan's silent exit. While Harry was unraveling in London, something very deliberate was happening 5,000 miles away in Montecito, California. Meghan Markle had made a calculation, and the calculation did not include absorbing her husband's debt. The moment Harry's legal strategy began showing cracks, the moment Gavin Burrows walked into that courtroom and dismantled the very evidence Harry had staked everything on, Meghan's team was already moving. Not publicly, not dramatically, quietly, legally, and with the kind of precision that does not happen overnight. This had been planned. The only question was when to execute it. As Harry's total liability climbed toward $30 million, his own legal fees plus the court-ordered costs he would owe ANL, Meghan's attorneys were restructuring her financial life around one clear objective: make sure none of that debt could touch her. Her lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, which she had been carefully building as a standalone identity separate from anything royal, was being legally insulated. Her individual production agreements were being rewritten or restructured so that Harry's looming bankruptcy could not pull them under. Every asset that carried her name alone was being quietly walled off. People inside their California circle were not hiding what was happening. One source put it plainly: Meghan is a strategist. She reads the room before most people even realize there is a room to read. Harry's truth, the lawsuits, the grievances, the ongoing war with the British press had become something no streaming platform, no publisher, and no serious brand partner wanted anywhere near their name. The liability was no longer just financial, it was reputational. And in the entertainment industry, reputational damage spreads faster than debt. The most visible signal came from inside the courtroom itself. In earlier legal battles, Meghan had been there sitting beside Harry, holding his hand, projecting the image of a united front. The optics were always managed, always deliberate. But during the most damaging week of the entire trial, the week Burroughs admitted the evidence was forged, the week the case visibly collapsed, Harry walked the corridors of the Royal Courts of Justice alone. No Meghan, no unified front, no hand to hold. She was in Los Angeles, attending solo business meetings, focusing on wellness content, lifestyle positioning, and luxury brand partnerships. Every public move she made that week was in a direction that pointed away from London, away from lawsuits, and away from a husband whose name had become synonymous with legal disaster. This was not a scheduling conflict. Anyone reading it as one was not paying attention. The Beatrice dossier made things worse. For years, Meghan had quietly maintained Beatrice and Eugenie as her private connection to the Windsor world, a back channel into the family that had publicly rejected her. That channel was now gone. Beatrice had chosen the king over the cousins, and in doing so, she had also cut Meghan off from the last remaining thread of aristocratic credibility that Hollywood still found interesting. Major talent agencies began advising their clients to steer clear. The Sussex brand, once pitched as royal prestige meets American relatability, had curdled. It was no longer prestigious. It was litigious. It was no longer aspirational. It was financially unstable. Agencies that had once fought for Sussex-adjacent deals were now telling their rosters to quietly distance. By March 4th, 2026, what had started as whispers had hardened into structure. The financial separation between Harry and Meghan was not a rumor being floated in tabloids. It was a legal architecture being built by attorneys on both sides of a marriage that was, at a minimum, professionally over. Whether the personal separation was already underway, whether the distance between them was only measured in miles or in something deeper, no one in their immediate circle was willing to say on record. But the direction was not subtle. Meghan was building forward. Harry was drowning in what he had built behind him. She would not be writing the check. That had already been decided. What Harry lost and what comes next. By the time Mr. Justice Nicholson was expected to deliver the final written judgment in Harry's privacy case, the legal outcome was no longer the biggest story. The bigger story was the total sum of what Harry had lost and how fast it had happened. Financial loss. Legal analysts estimated Harry's total liability at close to $30 million. Approximately $15 million in his own legal fees, plus the court-ordered cost to A&L, estimated at £11.5 million, roughly $14.6 million US dollars. Against a man whose primary income sources book royalties from Spare, the initial Netflix deal and the Spotify contract had either expired or were underperforming. This debt exceeded his estimated liquid net worth. The $14 million Montecito mansion and the $2 million annual security bill were not assets. They were anchors. Legal loss. The collapse of the Burroughs testimony had not just ended Harry's privacy claim. It had opened the door to a criminal investigation into whether Harry's legal team had knowingly used forged evidence. David Sherborne was reportedly working around the clock to manage the remaining 13 disputed articles in the case. But without his key witness, the foundation was gone. The case that was supposed to change the face of British media, in Harry's own words, spoken just days before the verdict, had instead exposed him to potential fraud charges. Social loss. The York-Sussex alliance was finished. Beatrice and Eugenie were actively working to reconcile with King Charles and Prince William, distancing themselves from the wreckage as fast as they could move. In the US, Harry had no remaining allies in the palace, no industry partners willing to risk association, and a wife who had begun restructuring her life around his absence. Reputational loss. The British press, the institution Harry had spent years attacking, had not been destroyed. It had survived. The Daily Mail had emerged from the lawsuit not as a defendant caught in wrongdoing, but as a victor. Rebecca English, whose testimony Harry had tried to neutralize, was being praised for journalistic integrity. The very newspaper Harry had set out to bring to its knees had watched him walk into its courtroom and burn himself down. Strategic loss. Any possibility of returning to royal life on any terms was now permanently closed. King Charles's March 4th statement was not a reaction. It was a policy. The message was that no future legal action, no media campaign, and no emotional appeal would result in financial support from the crown. Harry was on his own, permanently. What began as a mission to hold the British press accountable had ended as something else entirely. A self-inflicted disaster that cost Harry his money, his family, his credibility, and his future. He had bet everything on a case that was built, in part, on evidence that a man on his own payroll had fabricated. And when that man walked into a courtroom and told the truth, the only version of events that collapsed was Harry's. The Daily Mail did not destroy Prince Harry. The choices Harry made, the alliances he formed, the evidence he relied on, and the invoice he sent to a king who had already written him off, those were the things that ended his story. Not a newspaper, not the palace, not Meghan. Harry. And that is the full picture of how a $59 million gamble turned into a $30 million debt with no family left to call, no ally left standing, and no exit that doesn't cost him everything. Harry walked into this fight believing he was the last honest man in a room full of liars. He walked out as the man whose own witness called his evidence a script. King Charles did not destroy his son. He simply refused to rescue him from the destruction Harry had built himself, brick by brick, year by year, lawsuit by lawsuit. The bill came back. The courtroom emptied, and in Montecito, the spreadsheets told a story that no Netflix documentary ever will. If this story made you stop and think, share it. Because what happened to Harry in March 2026 is not just a royal scandal. It is a lesson about what happens when pride replaces judgment and grievance replaces truth. We will be back with more. Stay with us.